Om. Sairam, everyone. Swami's, last week we were reading about Swami, talking about the three ways in which the Lord is described and is worshipped. Nirguna Nirakara, that is attributeless, formless. Saguna Nirakara, with attributes but without form. And Saguna Sakara, with attributes and with form. And after mentioning these three, Swami is going on to talking about the Saguna Nirakara, that is with attributes but no form. And I think we discussed a lot about how do we meditate, how do we focus on that aspect, and we had nice discussions that I think everyone felt that we should be able to experience it. That was the gist of what we discussed from what I can recollect. So we will continue from where we left off. Sairam, sisters.
Sairam. Arjuna, people describe me in three different ways. One as Nirguna Nirakara, second as Saguna Nirakara, third as Saguna Sakara. I shall tell you about the second, the Saguna Nirakara first, and how you have to picture the Lord in this aspect. Listen, he is described as Kavi, poet, Puranam, Anusasita, subtler than the subtle, the sustenance and basis of all, having unpickable form, with the splendor of the sun as his complexion, beyond all trace of ignorance and darkness. At this point, Arjuna interrupted Krishna. He asked, Lord, you said he is a Kavi. There are Kavis among ordinary mortals too. How then can you call the Lord too a Kavi and discredit him? Or does Kavi denote something special when applied to him? Make that point a little clearer. Krishna said, Kavi does not mean merely a poet. It's also one who is aware of the past, present, and future. And so it is a description of the Lord. He knows all. He sees all. Hence, the derivation of Kavi is mentioned as Sarvajnana, Grantadarsi. He who sees the next step. It is the Lord who revolves in every heart and affects changes from step to step. For all creation, the Kavi is the motivator and prime basis. He is the poet. His poem is all this. Arjuna again inquired, Lord, secondly you said Purana, that he is Purana, or ancient. What is the significance of that? Krishna replied, of course, the Lord is the most ancient, but he's as modern as he is ancient. He is Sanatana, primeval, beyond the beginning. He is also Nutana, new every moment. Purana means Pura Navamiti, formerly new every minute of the past and the present.
Thank you very much, sister. This is what we had read and discussed. We had discussed Kavi and Purana also. If anyone has something to share, please go ahead. Otherwise, we can move on.
Brother, only one thing of the last sentence. Every minute is new for the past. How can he can be new in the past? Formerly new new every minute of the past too. That is something.
Okay, so I think we'll just read the Telugu also, Auntie, sister. I will ask Auntie just to, so that we don't.
Sai Ram.
There's nothing mentioned, I think, no, Auntie?
Nothing mentioned here.
I know.
సర్వజ్ఞుడని కాని పేరు కాదు భగవంతుడు అక్షర కవి, కవిత్వం అమృత కావ్యం. రెండవది పురాణం, దాని అంతరార్థము తెలుపుడు అన్నాడు అర్జునుడు. అర్జున, ఎంత పాతవాడి అనో అంతకుంతకు కొత్త వాడగుచుండును. మేబీ దట్ ఈస్ దిస్ థింగ్. ఎంత పాతవాడైనను అంతకంతకు కొత్త వాడు అగుచుండును.
Yeah, we discussed that. He's more new than old. Something like that.
No, the more he is old, the more he is new.
Yes. Antakantane.
Antakantaku.
Oh, Antakantaku. That's a bit.
Let me read it again.
Yeah, Antakantaku. Kotta word.
Enta paatavadainanu అంతకంతకు కొత్తవాడు అగుచుండను.
So that has been translated, Auntie,
as
in the word, in the sentence.
New.
He is most ancient and is modern as he is ancient. That's the way it has been translated.
Oh, okay.
To the extent he is ancient, he is new also.
That is clear. That is clear.
Okay.
Yeah, that is with the Purana also. That word is coming to clear.
Yes.
Right? But the last sentence, the new every minute of the past, I was trying to understand what is that referred by that wording. Okay, if there's nothing, then we can move.
No. I think the translation is trying to explain the statement Pura Navam Iti. Okay. I think that has been translated like that.
Okay, it's already explained in the previous paragraph then.
See, Pura means past, Navam means new. Thus, okay. But the thing, so what he's saying is, something which is old now was new then. Pura Navam. That means before it was new. Now it's old. But then there is something now which is more new also. Everything which is old now was new at some point. But now there's something new also. I think that's what the translation is trying to explain.
Okay.
Formerly new every minute of the past. Yes, Sai Ram, Sister Shivani.
Hi, Ram. Just trying to understand. This Purana is the same like Hindi word Purana, Kapada Purana. So it has the same meaning?
No. Purana means...
Okay. I'm just thinking.
Ancient has got something old.
You know how we use Purana?
Purana in Hindi we use when we Purana, it is old.
Yes,
old clothes.
But this is different.
Worn out clothes. तो पुराना हो गया.
पुराना कपड़ा, पुराना ये.
कपड़ा पुराना हो गया means old, worn out. There we mean in worn out.
Okay. Thank you. Sai Ram.
Okay.
The present also becomes past. The moment it passes, the present now becomes a past.
Yes.
Yeah.
Present becomes the past.
See, just the way. No, but I think sister was saying about Purana Kapada. So the cloth, the person who has seen it for a long time will say it's old. Okay, but the person who sees it today will think it's new also. First time they see it.
Absolutely. No, you're right. You're right by saying sometimes we used to say our mother, "Ye purana ho gaya." No, it's so new. So it's how you see it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in Hindi we use the word Purana also for worn out.
Yes.
Worn out becomes old.
Yes.
So it is a cycle.
It is a cycle. See, even in our old body, if somebody will look at somebody and say, you are old. But the thing is, there are new cells formed every day in that old person also.
Yeah.
Every day there are new cells, but we may not recognize it. Yeah. But even in an old body, there are new cells being formed every moment.
Yeah, correct. last time, Arun, you gave the two examples of one was ocean and the other was tree. Ocean is old. The waves and the bubbles and the flame, everything is new and it dies again. And again it becomes old, new again. So also in a tree, new blossoms come, new leaves come in spring. Again it falls off. Then again we get in the next spring, again new thing. But the tree remains old. That's it. And of course, if the tree becomes too old, we have to get rid of it also. But what I add to this is, you see, all the existing external world, what we are seeing now, goes on changing. It goes on changing every day. But the changeless factor is there that we should not understand.
Underneath.
Underneath the changeless factor, substratum is always old. And the new things come, new things go, new things come, and they all merge into that. I feel this example is also quite
very nice. Yes, Brother Dasan.
So, Sairam, brother, so we can take it like this. Even the Vedas is very old, but when you're reading that time, even this Yuga for us is a new. God also very old, but now is new. Thank you, brother Sairam.
Very nice, Sairam.
Sairam, that sentence where it says enter part of it, that one, does that mean the older he is, the newer he is, or something like that? Or
what is it? What is it, Kalyani?
Enta paata vaadainanu.
Enta
anta kantaku kotta vaadaguchundunu. So however old a person is, to that extent is new also.
Yeah, to that extent. Antakantaku.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if everyone is okay, then we will move on.
Anushasita.
What about the word?
Oh, it's echoing.
Echoing, sorry. What about the word Anusasita? Independent, unchecked master. He lays down the conduct of all. The 5 elements execute his orders. They cannot overstep the limits laid down by him. His laws govern also the inner world of all beings, as no human law can. He operates in the regions of the mind. The 4th expression you used was that he is Anoranian, subtler than the Anoranian.
Anoraniyam.
Anoranian. Okay.
Mahato Mahiyam.
Subtler than the subtle. Subtle? Perhaps you thought that subtle indicates a diminutive microscopic body. No. The expression subtler than the subtle means nirguna characteristics. Characteristicless. Devoid of qualities. Something that you cannot fathom with the help of the eye and the ear and the rest of the senses. A thing becomes subtler with the reduction of its characteristics. If it has more, it is less subtle. Sabda, sound, or sparsa, touch. Rupa, form. Rasa, taste. Gandha, smell. These are the characteristics of the 5 elements. Akasa, space. Vayu, air or wind. Agni, fire. Jala, water. The Prithvi, earth. Prithvi has all the 5. Jala has only 4. Agni has 3. Rupa, Sparsa, and Sabda. Vayu has just Sparsa and Sabda. Akasa has only 1, Sabda. That is to say, each of these is subtler than the rest, and Akasa is the subtlest of all.
Thank you, sister. So in these two, Swami has covered two of them. One is Anushasita and Anoraniya.
Yeah.
So Anushasita, he's talking about one who lays down the conduct of all. Shashana means
To
law.
execute the orders.
Execute orders. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
The one, yeah.
So one who lays down. So that's what Swami is talking.
Rules.
And the Anoraniyan. Anu means atomic. Anoraniyan means it's subatomic. It's subtler than the subtlest, smaller than the smallest, whichever. So I think that's. We'll open it up for anyone who would like to comment, or otherwise we can read the Telugu and then.
Okay, I will read the Telugu. Sairam. Inka Anushasitudu anaga emi.
Then now, what does Anushasita mean?
Atanu Sarvatantra Swatantrudu.
He is. Swatantru means he is independent. He is the one who I think controls everything.
Sarvatantra. Atadu andari endunu shasanamu cheyuvadu.
He establishes rules of order to inside everyone. In everyone.
పంచభూతములు సహితము అతని ఆజ్ఞకు బద్ధులు కావలెను.
The 5 elements also have and all that relates to that have to follow his command, or they are bound by his command.
అతడు శాసించిన శాసనముల హద్దులను మీరి పోవుటకు వాటికి కూడా సాధ్యము కాదు.
To transgress the orders or what is laid down by the Lord, even for these, is not possible.
లోకమున ఏ శాసనము చేసినను అది బాహ్య సంబంధమైనది కానీ పరమాత్మని శాసనము అట్టిది కాదు.
In the world, whatever rules are established, they are all externally focused. But in the case of what is laid down by the Lord is not like that.
అంతర్యామి అయి శాసించును.
He is establishing them as an indweller.
అనగా మనస్సును కనిపెట్టి శాసించువాడు.
That means he looks at the mind and establishes it, or he lays down the rule.
కనుక అతను సర్వతంత్ర స్వతంత్రుడని భావించుము.
Therefore, he is considered who is all
in
Sarvatantra. How do you translate, Auntie? Swatantrudu means one who is
independent.
Yes. Tantra means one who is dependent. Sarvatantra means he is the support for everything as well as he is independent.
He is independent, yeah. He is independent, both. Swami, నాలుగుదైన సూక్ష్మ రూపుడు అతను ఎట్లుండును?
Swami, you said the fourth item that he is subtle. So how is he? Or how can you explain?
సూక్ష్మమునుగా ఇదేమో నెలవిందు అన్నాడు అర్జునుడు. సూక్ష్మమనగా ఏమో, సారీ సెలవిందు, సెలవు అంటే పర్మిషన్. He's asking him to explain what is.
So he's telling, please explain what is sukshma. And Arjuna said so.
Yeah. పార్థ సూక్ష్మమనగా చిన్న దేహము కలవాడని తలంచితివేమో.
Partha, Arjuna, you thought that subtle means it's some small body.
కాదు. దీనికి నిర్గుణుడని అర్థము.
The meaning for this is that it is attributeless.
Yeah. దీనిని ఇంద్రియములతో తెలుసుకొన సాధ్యము కాదు.
This cannot be perceived by the senses.
వస్తువు యొక్క గుణములు తగ్గు కొలది ఆ వస్తువు సూక్ష్మ అవుతుంది.
when an object it loses its attributes, it becomes subtle.
Subtle. ఎట్లనా పంచభూతములు ప్రపంచ వస్తువులు తీసుకుందాము.
Means to explain this, let's see how the 5 elements function.
శబ్ద స్పర్శ రూప రస గంధ అను గుణముల మిశ్రములే మొదటిది భూమి.
The earth has the 5 attributes of sound, touch, form, taste and smell.
రెండవది జలము.
Second one is water.
వాటర్. మూడవది అగ్ని.
Third one is fire.
నాలుగవది వాయు.
The fourth one is wind.
ఐదవది ఆకాశము కదా.
The fifth one is space, sky.
ఇవి ఒకదానికంటే ఒకటి తేలికయే సూక్ష్మ వచ్చున్నవి. తేలిక అంటే లైటర్. It becomes
lighter. I see. So each of these 5, one by one, they become subtler or lighter.
ఇది ప్రత్యక్ష ప్రమాణము.
This is something which you can see with your eyes.
Yeah. భూమిలో శబ్ద స్పర్శ రూప రస గంధములు ఐదును కలువు.
So in earth, all 5 aspects are there, which is touch, form, taste, smell and sound.
అందువలన భూమి అతి భారమైనది.
Because of that, earth is very heavy.
రెండవదైన నీరులో శబ్ద స్పర్శ రూప రసము 4 మాత్రమే కలవు.
In the second element of water, there is only sound, touch, form and taste.
అందులో గంధము ఒకటి తగ్గినది.
It has lost the smell.
దాని వలన కొంత తేలికయి అది
it's lighter
and అది ప్రవహించుచున్నది.
That is why it's able to flow.
ఇక మూడవదైన అగ్ని యందు శబ్ద స్పర్శ రూపములు మాత్రమే ఉన్నవి.
The third element of fire, there is only sound, touch and form alone.
రస గంధములు లేవు.
The taste aspect, taste and smell are missing. Are absent. Sorry.
ఆ కారణముచే అగ్ని మరికొంత సూక్ష్మమై పైకి లేచుచున్నది.
So because of that reason, the fire has become subtler and is able to rise up.
వాయువు నాలుగవది.
Wind is the fourth one.
అందులో శబ్ద స్పర్శ మాత్రమే నిలిచి రూపరసగంధములు లేనందున అది మరింత సూక్ష్మమై సర్వవ్యాపి అయినది.
So the fourth one is the wind, and in that sound and touch alone exist. It has lost the form, the taste and the smell, and due to that it has become much more subtler.
Yeah.
And it has
pervade
everywhere.
All pervade. తరువాత ఆకాశము.
Then there is space or sky.
అందులో శబ్దము మాత్రం మిగిలినది.
In that only sound alone has remained.
తక్కిన స్పర్శ రూప రసగంధములు లేనందున ఆకాశము అన్నిటికంటే తేలికైనది.
So because it is missing the touch, form, the taste and the smell, it has become much more lighter than all the others.
That's it.
Saira.
Okay.
I understand the content of these paragraphs, but I am unable to connect the connection between the Anusasida and the Anoranyan perspective in the both, how it interrelates and what is the intent of these paragraphs, Yirudidi. I am able to catch the meaning of these, but the purpose or intent I am unable to catch. Maybe in the plain language, or what is the connection? Swami introduced the Anusasida and then come up with the Anoranya theory or something. So what Swami is trying to tell by these 3 paragraphs?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sister, Swami has given a certain descriptions of the Saguna Nirakara, that is attributeful but formless. The way God is described, he has given these different descriptions, and he is going on to explain so that we understand what that Saguna Nirakara means. So he first said Kavi is one of the way to describe it. The second one was Purana. Then he is telling is Anushasita, he has come Anushasita. So I think your question is, what is the way to apply? We understand, we comprehend what's written, but how do we relate that to the Lord, and how do we, even visualize that Lord and worship or whatever? I think, is that the question you have? Let us take one by one, sister. We'll take Anushasita. So your question is, I understand. So God lays down laws, and He is inside the mind also. He is laying down laws. So, but how do we relate it to, worship or something like that?
Yes, brother Yudhidi. I have already understood the Anusasida is kind of rules and regulations of the operations of the mind. That part I am clear. Then when it comes to the 5 elements and the way it chop down each element in every the earth, water, fire, and the all 5, and that the final space, either it has only that is sound, and I am very clear about those things. But uh, what is the essence of that? How I can interrelate the rules and regulations of the operations of the mind, and these the 5 elements and how it works, how I would connect with the God, or how I would apply that part that I am unable to catch it.
Very good, sister. Thank you, sister. So I will open it up for anyone to share their thoughts about the question which Sister Ananthi has asked.
Sister Anandi, what Swami is trying to tell is, see, first he described you. Please, Zoom user, can you mute yourself? Yeah, that's it. Thank you. See, first he said Anushasita. That you said you understood. Now the 4th expression, that's the 4th attribute. We are talking about that that portion where Swami is trying to this thing, Saguna Nirakara Rupa. Saguna, there are attributes, but there is no akara, there is no form. Now the 4th expression says Anoraniyam, subtler than the subtlest. That's what Swami wants to tell us. He gives the examples of all the 5 elements, how they go on becoming subtler, losing one attribute, and they become not. In the last, we find that Akasha is the subtlest of all. But God is all pervading. He is all pervading in all the 5 elements. He is there as Mahato Mahiyan, even the heaviest one, that is the earth, as well as he is the subtlest one in Akasha is present. That's what Swami is trying to tell us. The Saguna Nirakara Rupa of Bhagawan. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. This is Saku Auntie.
Yes,
please
Auntie.
forgive me for asking this question. The 4th expression as Anuraneyam. Anoraniam. I want to know where Krishna mentioned it, because I couldn't find anywhere this 4th expression.
Anoraniyan Mahato Mahatiyan.
Which page did he mention? Which paragraph? Which? chapter did he mention? Because I went through everything and I couldn't find it.
You mean original Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, in the Bhagavad Gita, the three okay. First one to Niraka, Nirguna Nirakara. The second one Saguna Nirakara. Third one Saguna Sakara. That I know, but from where did I the fourth expression, anoranium came? I couldn't find it. Please forgive me if I have missed it.
Is the anoranium is explained as subtler is the same thing? That's what it refers. It has on the description of the Saguna Nirakara, there's poet, Kavi, poet, that's Purana, Anusasita, and subtler than subtler. That's the one. That is the fourth one is called as
Anoraniyan.
Thank you, Aruna. Thank you.
That's what my understanding is. I'm not right. I'm just saying.
Is she right? And is she right?
I think that is my understanding too. That part is called subtler than the subtle. That is the one.
I think that is right. Thank you. Aruna, thank you. God bless you.
Auntie, I just said thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else would like to answer Sister Ananti's question also?
So, Sairam, brother.
Yes.
So, Anusalita mean whatever you mentioned, he's the head of the 5 elements. But Anoraniyan is similar to the smaller one. That means he doesn't have the attribute. So he doesn't have the attribute. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please?
So just in my thought, it just came up. That's why maybe all the sages and rishis, they say we have to create some empty space. When we meditate, we should have some empty space. Then only we can bring the goat within that empty space, and then we can connect into that. Maybe if the akasha or the fifth, the akasha, it's only the subtlest of of all. Then maybe if we don't have that empty space, then we are unable to bring the goat in there. That's why we are missing we are unable to focus or unable to meditate, or maybe that this is the reason. Maybe I am connecting myself. Why Swami is telling this is very important. Why I am missing, kind of. I am looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Anyone would like to share? Okay, maybe then. Yeah. Kalyani, you should say so.
I'm good. You can explain it.
So I think Kalyani pulled out the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, if anyone wants to look at. It's chapter 8, verse 9. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyan Anusmaret Yag Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Adityavarnam Tamasah Parastat. So it's Swami is basically, that verse actually is being explained by Swami for sake of Auntie's question. And so that's what Swami in chapter 16 here in Geetha Vahini is given all these aspects and then he says how that should be meditated on. I think that's what Krishna is saying in chapter 8. And I think going back to the question of Sister Anandi, so we will just take Anushasita. I think we already discussed, how do we worship the Lord as Kavi, then we all understood that, it has to only be experienced. So Anushasita also, Swami is saying that the external laws we all understand, that, the gravity means something falls, something breaks, all that. The way in the external world things happen, and the scientists are all exploring that. But here Swami says that Anushasita, he's also inside the mind, also he is laying down the law. So what it means is, then we have to find what the laws are and adhere to them. So the thing is, we can't just think any way we want. We can't use the mind any way we want. So we have to find out what the laws laid down by the Lord is. Because the reality is, if we let the mind unchecked to go whichever way we want without any proper order, mind will land into problem, and we also will land into problem. So the Lord has already established how the mind has to be maintained and controlled and properly channeled. And that has already been laid down by the Lord. So I think the Saguna Nirakara Upasana means that we have to be aware of how to manage the mind according to the way the Lord has laid down. Because that is what will lead to good life. So just the way if you drop something, it will burn, it will break. If you touch fire, our hand will burn. So we will take precautions to avoid such situations. So same way, the mind also has certain laws in place, and that has been laid down by the Lord. And He is the master, and He is the indweller whose help we need to manage mind to follow that. Is the way I understand, sister. I will stop here. If anyone else would like to share any thought.
We come to the last item, subtler than subtler one. So according to this paragraph, the subtler, the one is the most subtler than subtler is Akasha. So the God refers to Akasha then, or subtler than that?
No, he's trying to explain, sister, in the external world.
He's a sound. He's a sound kind of. He's equivalent to sound because Akasha has only sound, right?
Okay, it's a good question. I will pose it to others as well. Is God sound? Does that what Swami refers here is the question.
That's what we all every day early in the morning we chant Om Haram. That is the sound based. We can reach to the Atma or the Barabrahmam. Maybe now it's more and more clear to me. The connection between those two, and why I never thought about Akasa is the subtlest of all. I thought fire or something, Now I am much more clearer. That's why even in even the bhajans and everything, why we say the chanting Om is much more important than anything else, because that is the one, that is a highway, to reach. It fastly we can go to the destination kind of. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you, sister. Yes, Brother Dasan.
So, Sairam, brother. So, God is above all these attributes. So, we cannot say the God is sound. So, that's the reason the God is spread everywhere in the universe. Any object is there. So, he's supposed to be above the attributes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you very much, brother. Anyone would like to?
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was going to say that we know Shabda Brahmamayi. So, and then of course it continues. Shabda Brahmamayi, Chara Charamayi. So Nityanandamayi, Parat Paramayi, Mayamayi, Shrimayi. So if we see that aspect, definitely it starts with Shabda Brahmamayi, that the sound is Brahman. But at the same time, it doesn't stop at that. So even if we take the example of what sisters were saying about the pranava, where does the pranava come from? So even akasha, we know that atmana akasha sambhuta. So that space emanated from the paramatman. So we can, like what Swami has told earlier also, subtler than the subtlest, but at the same time mahato mahiyan, where he is grosser than the grossest. So he is there in everything, and it's not just restricted to the level of space, sky, ether, whatever we want to call that. So when Swami is saying in between that part of him being formless but having the attributes, it is to see how each of those elements which manifest those attributes are nothing but him. But at the same time, it is also giving a leeway to what is the first aspect, where he is the formless and he is the attributeless. So from that formless and from that attributeless came the thing without the form but with attributes, which is where is getting manifested as the elements. And finally, I think when Swami goes to the thing of with form and with attributes, that is where the whole thing of the avatars and everything comes into, or the whole of the creation in with other aspects come into. So that transition, Swami is capturing how the Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan being he subtler than the subtlest, grosser than the grossest. So it can lead to the subtler than the subtlest. So whatever we can think as subtlest, he is subtle than that. That is where he is, like we say, yato vato nivartante aprapya manasasa, where he's beyond the ken and understanding of the mind. So he's subtler than what the mind can get to the point of understanding, and that's where he is that beyond that realm. And at the same time, whatever we can perceive as the more grossest with all the attributes manifested, he is beyond that as well. He's like in the Telugu part getting translated in Tamil thing as Evalo Kevalo. How much ever we think he is old, he's older than that. How much ever we think he's subtle, he's subtler than that. How much ever we think he's new, he's newer than that. How much ever we think he's grosser than that. That's where is the whole thing coming. Sorry.
Thank you very much. So I think the answer to the question sits on the third paragraph or fourth paragraph, if you see. Swami is saying something that you cannot fathom with the help of the eye and the ear and the rest of the senses.
Yeah.
So, and if you look at the Telugu, Swami says it is not possible for you to perceive that with the senses. So sound is something which we perceive by the senses, means then it may not be falling under this category. Sound is also divine. That is from the Sakara perspective. But Swami here is talking about Nirakara perspective and Saguna. So, but I think for example, he said, I will explain to you with the help of what is subtle, saying that when each attribute is removed, each of the one of the aspect of perception is reduced, it becomes lighter and lighter, and he took it to the level of sound. But from basis of this, what and if you and some of this, some of what is said in the Telugu is not translated here. Swami is saying, it's only సాధ్యము కాదు స్వామి, దీనిని ఇంద్రియములతో తెలుసుకొని సాధ్యము కాదు. So that means only the mind may be able to perceive. at this point is what I understand, sister.
Yes, brother. The first sentence also clearly says that he lays down the conduct for all these things. Then he is beyond all these 5 elements. Thank you. Yes, he is beyond the 5 elements.
When we start meditating upon the Saguna Nirakara Rupa, we think that it is Om is there, subtlest of all, and we can meditate upon it. But he is beyond all these things. He transcends all these senses, all these gunas. He goes beyond. And he only then Nirguna Nirakara Swarupa is his real nature. When we can think of that Nirguna Nirakara Rupa, then this question of this Om is the only thing. We cannot limit God to that Om. He is beyond that. Sairam.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Thank you. So I think then we'll go to the question Sister Ananthi asked. I will again go back. How do we relate this? And I think her thing was, how can we Anushasita and Anoraniyam connect? See, one thing which is becoming clear is, Anushasita also, he has said, it's the mind, from the region of mind, he puts all the laws. And here also, this is beyond the senses, which is the subtler than the subtlest. So that is also in the region of the mind. The Lord wants us to experience. And any other, Sairam?
Mind and senses. Swami is referring to both. Mind and senses are all.
Is it did he say Avang Maya Gochara or something?
Avang Manasa Gochara. Avang Manasa Gochara.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think that's translated, is it, Auntie?
What is that, Auntie? I didn't get that, what Auntie said right now.
Avang Manasa Gochara. Vak means our words. I mean, with our expressions or with the mind. Manasa is mind. Agochara, he cannot be grasped by the mind or by explanations in the form of words. Avang Manasa Gochara.
I think it's not translated, I think, Auntie, no? It's
here, it's not here, no, it's not translated here. Just I said that, when you said Avang
no,
Manasa.
did he mention Avang Mana Gochara?
No, not.
So
Yes,
they couldn't fathom the words of Swami.
I think it's not here. They have a different script, but
no. When Arun said walk, I know you cannot express it by the way of explanation or by mind. The senses cannot be used to describe that Lord, or the mind also cannot be used. We have only these finite instruments with us, mind and senses. Both of them cannot grasp the reality. That is what Avang Manasa Gochara means. Here the word is not given. Since Arun said something, so I interpreted it.
Thanks, Auntie.
Yeah, so because see, once the attributes come into play, it is still in the region of mind, is the way I understand, Auntie. Nirakara Nirguna is beyond mind completely.
Beyond mind, senses, intellect, everything will not work there.
Then everything is not working in where we are.
Exactly.
So we are merged with the Lord at the time.
Aruna, that is the question asked. Everything. Now, what is the use of making so much effort when you cannot be reached by mind, by our senses?
I'm thinking to my mind.
That question comes to everybody. But Bhagavan says it can be.
Fathom.
It can be experienced.
Only. Yes.
Anubhuti, aparoksha anubhuti. Don't use these senses. Don't use this mind. Don't use this your intellect. But he can be experienced only by If a flash of
what?
In a flash of moment, it can be experienced by you.
Experienced, yes.
That
is not with the mind.
No, not with,
with Atma only. I think the experience by Atma only. It cannot be, no senses, no
mind.
senses, no mind, then it has to be experienced by Atma.
Not Atma. You experience it. How to tell that,
Yeah, that's a thing. I'm trying to understand too.
Ilema, for example, I give you the sugar is sweet. Sugar cane juice is sweet. Gulab jamun is sweet. Jalebi is sweet. But all the sweetness are not the same. It is different taste. Unless you taste it, I cannot say, oh, that juice, sugarcane juice is sweet. If I say that, you cannot understand me. You only when you taste that sugarcane juice, then you will understand the taste of it. So that's how God is.
Sugarcane juice example goes with the senses and the taste. I think the real experience supposed to be with Atma only. That's how I'm thinking. Thank you.
Self can be experienced by the self. That's all.
Yeah.
Sister Sai Satish, please go ahead.
Sai Ramana. So just adding to that discussion part, so there is this analogy that is used of the river to merge into the ocean, because the river has its origins and it has come a long way.
Please, Shivam, can you just mute? Can you just mute, please? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So with this journey that the river has taken of right from its source, maybe it was a small lake or a pond that slowly joined and finally became like a river, and that river has to merge into the ocean. So at the point where the river has to merge into the ocean, the river by itself is enamored by seeing the huge ocean in front of it. And at that time, the river, the only way it can become the ocean is by being ready to let go of its identity. Because at that point in time, it is not about losing the identity of a river, but becoming the ocean after it merges. So in that context, when we say one who is beyond the ken of words and the mind and understanding that comes with all of it, it is more like we are at that point where the river has to merge into that ocean, and no longer are we holding our ideologies, our prejudices, our ego, so we go to that point, whatever it is, and then it is only when the river lets go can it merge with the ocean and become now the ocean. So it is at that aspect when we let go of all of that we are able to reach him with our mind, we are able to reach him with our effort, but it is only with his grace can we become, or we enjoy that oneness with him. It is only at that point when that complete sense of surrender and everything comes in, where it is dropped, that the river becomes one with the ocean, and now it is no longer telling that I lost being a river, but it is saying that I am the ocean. So it is more about that stage where we go and then experience being part of it, and that experience comes only when there is nobody there to experience. Because if there's somebody saying, oh, I experienced it, that means there is somebody who is an experiencer and there is an experience. But experience of the ultimate thing comes only when there is nobody left to come back and say, I experienced it. It's just becoming that ocean. Sairam.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. Any other thoughts, please?
Sairam, uncle, for Anusha Sitaram, does the Anu mean like follow in this case?
Yes.
So he's the one who follows the laws of love, or not really?
No, I think the way to understand it is Shasita means one who lays down the law. Okay. Anushasita means that which follows from the Shasana, I think the way I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
Shasaka, I think, is the one who lays down the rules. Shasita is being
what is laid down?
what is laid down.
What is
Shasita.
laid down?
Okay. And Uncle, you had mentioned for that we have to know what are the rules first.
Yes.
So I feel like so much of I guess the problems we encounter is that we don't know what's the right thing to do, and because we have an incomplete understanding, I guess being in the present stage where I am, where I don't have a complete understanding of Swami's teachings as of yet, and then I encounter issues, problems, I'm not sure what to do. What do you do in that case? You just
Yeah,
Very good. I don't know.
Yes, Auntie.
Listening to Sai Sadi's and everybody's, yours and Auntie's explanation, I realized that our mind has to become mindless and to accept God's path, and at the same time our soul has to become lighter and lighter and lighter so that it can become purer to merge. So for all this we have to give up all attachment, all identity, all what you think you are. You have to become nothing so that you can merge with God. This is what I understood. If I am wrong, correct me. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, thank you. So we'll go to Kalyani's question. I think Kalyani's question is, when I said Anushasita, the Lord is the one who has laid down the law. How do we worship him in the attributeful form but without form? Is to know the laws laid down by him. Because that's what he has said. He has laid down the law. And I think Kalyani's question was, we run into challenges because we don't know what the laws are. And then what happens? And how do we go about, because we don't know all the teachings. The way I understand Kalyani is, life itself is a learning process. What we don't know, we don't know. We may run into some problem in life. That's a reality. Just to give an example, a child touches something hot and it burns its hand. Now it has had the experience of hot. Now whenever somebody says this is hot, the child will not touch. Okay. So all the learning is actually through some experience. Even failure is the learning. Okay. But the thing is, the first time failing, I think, is okay. But the thing is, if you have not learned from that failing, then I think the problem comes. Because we can't know everything in this world but just by reading a book or anything like that. We have to experience in life, and I think we will make some small mistakes. But Swami will say, if you make a mistake, there's nothing wrong. But you have to learn from that mistake that, if I do this, this will happen. So, but I think what happens to us is we don't analyze the problem, mind problem. If we just reason it out, also we will actually learn something. Swami would say the knowledge is already within you. It is just that you have to pay attention and you have to study the mind. I think meditation is one of the best way to study how the mind operates. And there are base Swami's thing is control the mind, focus it on the Lord. That's all he has said. That itself is sufficient for us to safeguard ourselves from many things in life. And then he will say, he has already talked about preliminary disciplines. Like Swami has said, sense control is the first thing, because the mind cannot be controlled if the input into the mind is not stopped. So I think, so that is also a law. If you put impressions through the senses, external senses, into the mind will be very difficult to handle. So that's why Swami said the first preliminary thing is sense control. Then once you have sense control attached, then you have to work on the mind. I think that is in a nutshell. But even though we know that in theory, how do we control the mind is a lifelong exercise or learning is the way I understand. And I think the more sincere we are in seeking the guidance from the Lord will always give. Is my understanding. And then, of course, Swami says, I think in the first paragraph, he says the Lord is within he's also is within us in the mind, and then he is laying down the law. Is something which Swami has said, which basically means he's also the conscience. The conscience, the Lord remains in our inside as a conscience and tries to guide us. So Swami has said that we should rely on that also to some extent. Okay, those are things I will say based on what I know. I shouldn't think this is the final answer, but just to start off the discussion, I said this. I will open it up for others to share their thoughts. Sairam.
So, Sairam, brother. So, my understanding, brother, based on everyone's thing. So, the 5 elements is a big thing. So, we can feel it from our 5 senses. So, when you are happy, sometimes selfless, doing any work, when you're happy, you cannot say which part is enjoying that, you cannot express that one. Same way, even though the God is created these 5 elements and everything, he is the controller and he is a creator. But when you are looking at Swami is explaining, he's smallest to the smallest one, because there is no attribute. Because of that, there is no attribute. It doesn't go under any destruction. He's going to be forever. Other ones has to go under destruction. So that means Lord Krishna was explaining to the Arjuna how you can feel it, how you can see me. So I am above the attribute. Don't worry about that one, because your mind cannot express that one. Your mind cannot experience. You cannot describe that one through your mind. Just have the faith. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone else would like to share?
So, based on what you were sharing in light of Sister Kalyani's question, so one is that's where it comes down to Abhyasa Yogena. So it is through practice, and it is not that we know everything on day one, but it is only when we do something, we gain the experience out of that keeps lasting. And every time an action happens, there is a reaction, there is a reflection, there is a resound. So if we can guide that reaction, reflection, and resound back into Swami, it is more about the same practice. Because like Swami would always say this, like eating practice, writing practice, sleeping practice, everything was like we got it to a certain extent what we can claim as a right way by practice. So if it is for things as mundane as our day-to-day things that we got by practice, then for something that is subtler than the mundane things, which comes from the prompting from within, that much more of an effort is required to go. It's the same thing what we put in for our primary, secondary, or higher education. So if you have to put in that much effort for these kind of education, then for getting the highest, then what is the kind of constant reinforcement that is needed? So while we know that we know that the love of 1,000 mothers of what we say of Swami, so we know that there is an epitome of love, that much of understanding is there within us. So as long as that effort is sincerely directed with all of that thing to as an offering to Swami, then even when we like what you were asking about, we do not know completely the essence of Swami's teachings, but in one sense, we know the essence that whatever Swami would say, sarva karma bhagavat prityartham. Every action we do is for pleasing the Lord. Can we, whatever we do in our day-to-day life, can we go with that feeling that Swami, I am doing this as an offering to you? Even as I do it, I do not know whether it will be completely blemishless, but I'm doing with that sincerity and that purity. So now when anything is offered with that feeling into the fire will burn everything. So even that process of the blemishes will get burnt away, and what lasts will be the pure thing. So even if we do not know every rule, everything, if we have that purity of intention and with that continuous love for Swami, then that feeling itself will purify the action. Even if some blemish crops in, it will nullify that part and go as an offering to Bhagawan. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Satish. I guess everyone has become Anorania. Does anyone else would like to share about anything like this? Oh, otherwise we'll move on. Okay. I don't know, sisters.
This is self-evident. Prithvi, or the earth, is just stationary. Water or jala is subtler, and so it flows. Agni or fire is subtler than the water, and so it rises up. Vayu or air, which is even more subtle, can travel on all sides. Akasa has just one characteristic, sabda. It has no touch, or form, or taste, or scent. The Lord, who is beyond these 5 elements, has none of these characteristics. He is subtler than the subtlest. He is all-pervasive, eminent in all. It is the characteristic that makes a thing heavy. The Lord has no such burden. So, he is subtler than everything else. Next, about the 5th expression, Sarvadhara, the basis of all. There are 2 categories, Adhara and Adeya. All that exists is seen by the eye or heard by the ear. Why? The entire creation is Adeya. Sorry. The base, they are all composed of the 5 elements. Well, the 5 elements are all Adeya, for they are based on the basis Brahman. Brahman is the only basis. It is not based on another entity, for there is no second. Therefore, he is Sarvadhara, the basis of all.
Thank you. So Swami is going on to, I think some of the questions which were asked has been answered here. He's saying he is the Lord who is beyond these 5 elements has none of these characteristics. So in that sense, he said the Lord is beyond the Akasha. I think that came through. Then since Swami is going to the Sarvadhara, who is support, the basis for everything in this world, which later creation is Adeya, which is based on the Adhara, the support. So I will stop here, open it up for anyone's thoughts. So in this, so just to get the discussion going, so as you can see, the subtler than subtlest means it is beyond even the Akasha, the subtlest beyond that. And the Swami says in the next attribute or next expression that that is the basis of anything which we see also. That which is unseen is the support for everything which is seen by us in this world. So that's where he's going to Sarvadhara. So this, as we can see, the same Sarvadhara is the one which is Anoraniyan, because it's subtler. Even though it's light, it can support heavy things. And then that goes into Anushasita, that also he said in the mental region. It is from within the mind, he is laying down the law. So here, so as you can see in all these Saguna, Nirakara, it's all about the subtlest. So even in our body, we have gross body, which is the made of 5 elements. Then we have the subtle body. So to some extent, we can see some link between our subtle form and the subtle aspects, the Saguna, Nirakara of the Lord. That's the way I see. So I'll stop here. Anyone would like to share any thoughts, please go ahead. If nothing, I think maybe Auntie, we have not read the Telugu portion for this Adharam.
Yeah.
We can just read that if it's okay.
Yeah, correct. The above paragraph also,
we have already read that, Auntie, no?
We have not read. I stopped with that Sparsha Rupa Rasagandha because they are not there in the Akasha is there.
Okay.
That we stopped there.
Okay.
ఈ 5 సూక్ష్మ వస్తువుల కంటే తాను అతీతుడై ఉండుటచే అతని యందు ఏ గుణములు లేనందున భగవంతుడు సూక్ష్మాతి సూక్ష్మ స్వరూపుడై ఉన్నాడు.
In these 5 subtle objects, he's beyond these 5
subtle aspects.
Because God is so, in him there are no attributes, and he is the subtlest of the subtle. Is his real form.
అన్నిటికంటే వ్యాపకుడై ఉన్నాడు.
He is more pervasive than anything.
All pervasive. గుణములు బరువుగా ఉండును.
His attributes are always heavy in nature.
భగవంతుడు గుణాతీతుడు.
God is beyond gunas.
కనుక అతను ఏ బరువు లేక సూక్ష్మాతి సూక్ష్మ రూపుడై ఉన్నాడు.
So because of that, he is without any weight. He remains the subtlest of the subtle.
అని కృష్ణుడు సూక్ష్మ రూపమును గురించి తెలిపెను.
Thus Krishna explained about the subtle form.
ఇక 5వది సర్వాధారుడు. సర్వాధారుడు అనగా లోకమున.
Now to the 5th expression of Sarvadhara.
లోకమున ఆధారము ఆధేయము అని 2 కలువు.
In this world there are 2 things. One is the basis and the other one is based.
మన కంటికి కనిపించు చెవులకు వినిపించు ఒకటేమి సృష్టి యావత్తు ఆధేయమే.
So whatever our eyes see or the ears hear, what else, okatemi, in this creation everything is based, supported by something.
ఈ సృష్టి అంతయు పై చెప్పిన పంచభూతములతో నిండినది.
All this creation is made up of these 5 elements.
అనగా భూమి, జలము, అగ్ని, వాయువు, ఆకాశము.
That means earth, water, fire, wind and space.
ఇవి ఆధేయములే. These are all ఆధేయములు.
These are all based, they are supported.
ఎట్లనా ఇవి అన్నియు భగవంతుని ఆధారములో నిలచినవి.
They are all dependent or based on God's support.
వీటినన్నిటికంటే ఆధారుడు ఆ దేవుడు.
For all these, the support or the basis is that Lord.
అతనికి పేరు ఆధారము మరొకటి లేదు. అతనికి వేరు ఆధారం మరొకటి లేదు.
For him, there's no other basis. There's no support.
కనుక అతనే సర్వాధారుడిని తెలిపినది. He is
Because of that, he is called Sarvadhara. He is the support of everything in this world.
That's all.
Support for all. Auntie?
And that's it. This paragraph ends. The next one is sixth expression of that Rupa that we have not read.
Brother, according to this second paragraph, it's a Sarvadhara is the basis of all. So Sarvadhara has two categories. Is Adhara and Adeya. Adeya is 5 elements. So the Lord is 5 elements as well as Brahman. Sarvadhara. Two categories. Oh, Brahman is the Lord, and Adeya is 5 elements.
Whatever you see.
Sarvadhara is both. The Lord is saying Sarvadhara, so it's a 5 elements plus Brahman. So it's a base and basic. Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else would like to share anything?
So Adeya, the term Adeya is referred to as Karmendriyas too in another terminology. All 5 elements. So is it different? Maybe the 5 elements because Swami says in the second or the third sentence, the base is all that is seen by the eye or heard by the ear. So this is
creation, entire creation. What we perceive and what we hear.
So whether is there any connection, what I am trying here, maybe it's the Karmendriyas or the Jnanendriyas, those are the one is the senses, it's divided into 2 categories. Maybe that's the way it connected that Adeya part, or whether this is different from that one.
Sister Anandi, we are now talking about what is the basis for all the creation. The basis is Adhara.
Yeah.
What we see outside here, don't take that eyes and ears as the one. We can perceive the entire creation only through our senses. Isn't that? So that becomes, whatever we see is Adeya. Whatever we perceive or hear is Adeya. And it is based on Adhara. That is Brahman. It's based on the basis. Here, the senses do not, senses are used only to see and to hear and to smell and to taste. Karmendriyas Jnanendriyas have nothing to do now. But for the whole thing, of course, he is the Adhara. No doubt about it.
Thank you, Auntie. The Adeya, it's
creation.
Creations, yeah. Creations, yeah. Maybe I confused the Adeya with the Indriyas, Okay, now I am clear. Thank you so much.
Senses, we use our senses to see and to hear and to taste. Of course, we are using our senses. Here we are talking about only creation on which they are standing. The basis is Brahman. On the permanent substratum is Brahman. On the substratum, all this creation is taking place. So he is a Sarvadhara. He is giving support to all, the basis of all.
So I think whatever the senses perceive is all Adeya.
Adeya.
Whatever we do in the outside world, it's only Adeya. Swami also uses the tree analogy He says the tree, we see a lot of things, flowers, trees, fruits, all of them we see, the branches and so on. But Swami says the unseen root is the basis. Without the root, the tree cannot exist. So I think this is also that upward, Urdhva. So, that's
50.
also explained.
Urdhvamulam Madhashakam. Yeah.
Brother, I'm trying to connect one thing here, please. I know I'm confusing myself here. Subtler than subtler, Swami said he is beyond the five elements, right?
Yes.
Now in Sarvadhara, he's bringing back again.
No.
Why not? Because Sarvadhara is a Adhara.
No, the subtlest is the one which is supporting what you see. The gross. The gross is supported by the subtle.
Yeah. But in Sarvadhara, the Swami, when he says he's a Sarvadhara, it's a combination of both, right?
No, Adhara is only supporting.
Sarvadhara, okay.
Yes.
Sarvadhara,
Without
there
the
are
subtle,
two
the gross
categories.
cannot exist. See, actually, Swami has covered this in the Sandhya Nivarani. He says Chitta Kasha, the Bhuta Kasha rests on Chitta Kasha. Okay, so without the Chitta Kasha, there is no Bhuta Kasha.
Okay.
Without your mind, the external world cannot exist, for you at least, So it is, so the mind is the support for everything else your experiences. Okay. The senses are just perceiving, but without the mind, the senses cannot process any information. Even for the senses, the mind is the basis, which is subtle.
Adeya category is on basis on the Adhara.
Adeya is based on Adhara.
Good.
So the gross is based on the subtle. The subtler than the subtlest is supporting the
Brahman support. Yes, thank you.
See, actually, Swami has used the word anoraniya. See, none of us can see the atom. But without the atom, no objects in this world exist. If the atoms are not there, whatever we see in the gross world doesn't exist. But the atom is subtle, so subtle that you don't even know where it is. So atom is the basis for everything in this world. And so Swami sort of equates atom to God also, so that's so subtle that we can't see, hear, nothing. But the atoms, when it comes together, the elements are formed, all that happens. So that is also a physical aspect only, atom, but God particle is subtler than that.
But it's nicely said by the based on the basis. So
yes.
That's, thank you.
So Sairam, I can give one of the example. If we take the earth, how is rotating? So this is load thing. So load is the Adhara for the earth. Take the sun, same thing. What about us? So for everything, Adhara is the Lord, Paramatma. So it's become Sarva Adhara, Sarva
Sarvadhara.
So yeah, Sarvadhara. Thank you, brother.
So it's about 3:28 now. So I think there's no, there's enough material, I think, for us to contemplate for 1 week. And then we can continue on with the next one, Achintya Rupam, I think the next one. Once we start that, we will not stop. So I think for today, we will close with closing prayers. And we will continue from next week. If anyone has something to say, I will give there are a couple of minutes.
So Sairam, brother, we didn't listen to Auntie's Vibhuti mantra for a long time too, because once in a while we can chant that one too, because we are fortunate to have our study circle. Good.
Okay, brother. Any other request? Thought, comment? So, Auntie, maybe you should chant the Vibhuti mantra. Otherwise, brother will not.
Today, should I do that or?
Yes, Auntie, you just, no problem. We have 2 minutes.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
If I have to contact this study circle, is there a name I can contact?
Yeah, we will send the information to your daughter's phone number, Auntie.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
thank
no
you.
Okay. Paramam pavitram Baba vibhutim Paramam pavitram Baba vibhutim Paramam vichitram Leela vibhutim Paramarthamishtartha moksha pradatam Baba vibhutim idamashrayami Baba vibhutim idamashrayami. Om Sai Ram.
Sai Ram,
Om
thank you
Sai
very much.
Ram.
So we will close the session with Samasta Loka Sai Ram. Om Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram, everyone.
Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sai.